Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. If you played this game for any length of time, you undoubtedly have a list of things you wish were different in the game. Well, I certainly do, and the list tends to be rather long. So rather than make an hours-long video, I've picked out 10 things in no particular order, and I'd like to go through them for you today. First thing on the list, I would like to have an armor-penetrating perk for shotguns. Every other class of weapon in the game has an armor penetration perk, but shotguns don't. We have Incisor for unarmed and melee weapons. We have Tank Killer, which covers rifles and pistols, both automatic and semi-automatic. Even bows have their own perk. There's also Stabilized for heavy guns. So I'd actually change a couple of things. So we have this perk Skeet Shooter, which increases, and it's under perception, which increases accuracy and spread. And what I would do with this is I would actually add in another effect to increase range. It would be nice to have shotguns, like if you're a shotgunner and to not have to carry a rifle or something, you could only carry shotguns to do your job. So having something that would give you extra range would be nice. And then also add in another perk, something that's akin to Tank Killer, the same thing where it gives you 12% per rank of armor penetration up to 36%. I think that would be a perfect addition to the game. Put it in perception. Number 2, I would do something about energy gun action point cost. So if we look at this Ultrasight laser rifle, and it actually has a reduced AP cost legendary effect, and it is modded basically the same way I would mod any automatic rifle, and you can see it has an AP cost of 13. Now, if you look at a Fixer, that's basically modded the same way. Now, there's no magazine option on energy guns, or at least not on the laser rifle. We have AP cost of 6, so it's less than half the cost. And then if you look at something, now this is not legendary, but if you look at a plasma rifle, it's just completely broken. It has an AP cost of 30. So even with the legendary effect, if it was reduced AP cost, it's still going to be over 20, it's almost impossible to use in VATS for any length of time at all. And it just makes them so they're not as competitive with ballistic weapons. Number 3, give some love to pistols. Right now, you look at the gunslinger perks, and guerrilla perks are the same. If you look at those, they are under agility. So if I were to max out the damage on a gunslinger build, well, there's 9 points right there, which leaves me 6. So say I wanted to max out adrenaline, well, that leaves me 1 more point. So if I want to put in something like covert operative, 1 point. But if I want to put in something like gun fu, fine, 1 point of gun fu, and I can't even do covert operative. I can't do Mr. Sandman, which means pistols, which are already less powerful than rifles, are at an even bigger disadvantage because you can't maximize the damage for them. So I've actually seen a couple of different options suggested. The most common is to move the gunslinger perks over to perception, and that way you could maximize them the exact same way you would maximize a commando or a rifleman build. I think that's a fine solution. Another option would be to take these perks and make them all just 1 rank. Make them a 1 rank card that does 20% more damage. It's not like it's going to make them overpowered. I mean, they're definitely underpowered compared to rifles commando builds anyway. So if you made them just a 1 point card, you could get max damage for only 3 points, and then you'd have room for everything else that goes under agility. Maybe there's some other option I haven't seen suggested, but those 2 options, I think either one would work really well, because right now pistols are just in a very bad spot versus rifles and commando weapons. Number 4, go back and review some existing weapons to make them a little more relevant. What do I mean by that? Well, as an example, we have a 10mm submachine gun here, and if you look, there is no sight on it. So adding and if you look at the AP cost, it's actually quite high as well. So this would be not that great of a VATS weapon. Now, obviously, it's not legendary, so you could actually reduce the AP cost, if you got that legendary effect. But if you add something like a reflex sight reduces the cost of AP. And I have tried using this, not necessarily this particular one, but I have tried using the 10mm submachine gun for manual aiming. And I actually don't care for the sight that's on it. I find it kind of blocky and it blocks out the enemies a bit. So having a reflex sight would make it more friendly in VATS and outside of VATS. Also, you have no suppressor on it. So just in general, it'd be nice to have an option, at least, to use this as a stealth weapon. So that's a change I would like to see, at least this weapon particularly. Another gun I have in mind that I'd like to see change just a little bit would be the assault rifle. Right now, it has a lot in common with the handmade, but it does less damage. What I would like to see for this one would be just to add another magazine option, one that gives a larger capacity. You can see I have a drum magazine on it. It only holds 30 rounds. So give something that changes ammo type adds ammo capacity, maybe 5mm ammo would be kind of cool. Maybe give it a 100 round or even a 200 round option. Then even if it did less damage, it still is differentiated from the handmade, and it give people something fun to use, just something new. And adding 5mm wouldn't really conflict with any other weapon. The minigun, for example, it's a heavy gun. So even though it uses the same ammo type, it wouldn't conflict with this because this is a rifle. That's a heavy gun, different perks, different builds. So I think that would bring a lot of life to this weapon. Another option I would like to see, number 5, would be some sort of character reset. And what I mean by that, I don't mean erasing everything your character's done, would be to reset your quests. I mean, if you look at this character, my main quests, there are none. I've done all the main quests. There's nothing for me to do. Side quests, there's really nothing either. If you look at those two side quests that I have listed, they're basically repeatable dailies, even though they're listed under side. One is you loot a random key. It gives you a random locker to open. The other is you pick up technical data, gives you the forbidden knowledge quest. But they're basically repeatable dailies. So I have no main quests, no side quests. What I think would be cool would be to go through and allow us to reset all our quests, so we could repeat them at, say, a higher difficulty. Call it maybe legendary difficulty, something like that. And then you can go in and redo them. And maybe you get some unique reward that you can only get from doing the quest on legendary difficulty. An example. So we have the Back to Basic quest, right? That's where you go to Camp McClintock, you do basic training. You have the shooting range, you've got the obstacle course, you have that fight at the end with all the robots. Maybe when you do it on legendary difficulty, for the second time, you have less time on the target range, or you have less time for the obstacle course. And maybe at the end when you fight the robots, you get assaultrons or something, more difficult robots. But at the end, you get some cool, unique piece that you can only get from doing that quest on legendary difficulty. Just something like that. Number 6, make everything tradable. This has happened to me a number of times. This character I'm on happens to be full health. And the number of times when I was rolling Secret Service armor that I came up with a piece such as this. So we have an unyielding piece, +1 strength. It's not a god roll, but maybe you have a friend that plays low health and they're a melee character and this would be perfect for them. Well, too bad. You either have to save this forever for no reason, change the way you play your character, make it a low health when you don't want to, or put it in the script machine. All of those are just bad options. And being able just to give this to someone that could use it would be great. And on that note, number 7, better legendary crafting. The current system we have, now I am on a custom world and I have it set to free crafting. And it was Custom Worlds that actually pointed out how terrible our crafting system is. So suppose I want to re-roll this legendary piece. Rather than just crafting a new one, I want to re-roll it. I just hit the slot machine, put in modules and pull the trigger and I get regenerating, poison resist. But if I'm a low health character, that doesn't do me any good. If I roll again, see, and then you keep getting the same thing. Regenerating, lockpicking. I mean, who wants lockpicking on their armor? Mutant Slayers. I mean, it's just random stuff that you get. And it's exactly like a slot machine simulator. You put in your modules, you pull the trigger, and what are we going to get? Most likely we're going to get something, well, look at that. There's a level up set for a low health character. Perfect. Except my character's full health, so it's no good. But you get the point. Number 8 thing I would like to see is an easy and safe way to transfer items between characters. So currently at least the way I would do it, there's a couple of options to you and they're not the greatest. One, you can ask a friend, go on a world with you. You can give them the item, log out, log in with another character and have them give you the item. That's kind of inconvenient because then you have to time it with another person. And also if maybe you don't know anybody in the game and then you don't have that option available. Now, the other option, if you have Fallout First, and this is what I like to do, or this is the way I do it, is I come here to Nuka World. I load into a private server, and I'll put the item that I want to transfer over into this footlocker. So now I can make sure that my other character really gets that stim pack that they needed. Then I log out of the world with this character and log back in with another character. And when I do that, I pray that the server doesn't crash, my power doesn't go out, my internet doesn't go out, some other bad thing to happen. So you could actually, I've been lucky so far. It's never happened to me, but I know plenty of people that it has happened to where you just lose the item that you're trying to transfer. And then how would I ever replace the stim pack? So having some sort of mail system, just something, some way, and I know this is a highly requested feature, some way for me to have put this stim pack transferred over to another one of my characters. And if you don't have Fallout First, then this particular option that I'm using isn't even available to you. Number 9, the ability to deal critical hits outside of VATS. Currently, the way the game is set up, critical hits are a VATS exclusive, which means if you're playing a heavy gunner that likes to aim stuff yourself, you're playing at a disadvantage. If you're someone who doesn't like to use VATS, there are a lot of people that like to play this game without VATS, and that means no critical hits. So to facilitate that, I would make a couple of changes. Number one, I would just say on the better criticals card, rather than saying VATS criticals, I would just have it say criticals. And the critical savvy card, so I would either add in a separate card or I would just add to this card. And what I would do would be to add for each rank of the card a percent chance, like 11, 12%, something like that per rank of card that one of your hits outside of VATS will be a critical. So you could either do that by adding to the critical savvy card, which, I mean, the critical savvy card increases your frequency of doing critical hits. So it actually makes perfect sense to just add it onto this card, or have a separate card for basically non-critical savvy or non-VATS critical savvy. Something, I mean, you wouldn't call it that, but it would be that effect. And that would actually bring a lot of balance to the game, because right now, VATS crit build is going to do so much more damage than a non-VATS build. Even if they're using the exact same weapons, they're spec'd exactly the same, those critical hits just do so much more damage than regular hits. And number 10, I would give set bonuses to all armors. So right now what we're looking at is a set of Union power armor. And as you can see the set bonuses there, it's right in the middle, right in the top, right, kind of overlaid over the spinning armor. But it gives you a 75 carry weight bonus and 150 poison resistance. If you are using excavator armor, it gives you a 100 carry weight bonus and a mining bonus when you're mining ore. Now here we are looking at a set of T51. As you can see, no set bonus. Which means if I want to use this, because in power armor especially, they have a built-in damage reduction, so the extra numbers, one may have more resistance than the other, don't really mean a whole lot. The main reason that you might pick one over another, either aesthetics, I mean, that's why I picked T51, is I like it. I like the way it looks. It's my favorite armor. Unfortunately, I'm giving myself a disadvantage by using that. I could be getting an extra carry weight bonus. I could be getting poison resistance just by going with Union armor, and I'm not going to notice really any difference in terms of how much damage I'm taking. And I would like to see regular armors get those bonuses as well. Right now, you have something like Thorn armor, which gives bleed damage. It's a really good armor for a melee character. But if I use something like leather armor or metal armor, raider armor, there's no set bonus. There's really, other than if you're role-playing a character, there's not a lot of reasons to use those armors. One idea is you could make some armor maybe more combat focused. So something like T51 or T60, a set bonus could maybe give you an extra, 20% damage with heavy guns, something like that. Make it more a combat focused armor. Whereas maybe somebody else is more of a collector/hoarder and they like to pick everything up. So then they would go with the excavator or the Union. That way people have options that fit the style of play that they have. And those are 10 changes that I would like to see with Fallout 76. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit one of the buttons down below, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.